June 24th, 1340, the waters of the Zwin estuary churn with tension. Two rival kings, a massive French armada, and an audacious English fleet led by a young monarch, gambling everything. This is the Battle of Sluys, a ferocious naval clash that reshaped the Hundred Years' War and proved England's mettle on the seas. How did a smaller fleet crush a naval giant? Why did this forgotten battle change history? Grab a seat and let's dive into the chaos. To understand Sluys, we need to rewind to the 1330s when Europe was a powder keg of ambition and rivalry. The Hundred Years' War, a sprawling conflict between England and France, had just erupted in 1337. At its heart, a bitter dispute over the French throne. England's King Edward III, a fiery 27-year-old, claimed he was the rightful king through his mother, Isabella of France. But France had other ideas, crowning Philip VI, a cousin of the late French king. This wasn't just about royal egos, it was about power, wealth, and control. Flanders, a prosperous region in what's now Belgium, was the economic jewel of the time. Its textile industry depended on English wool, making it a vital ally for England. But France wanted Flanders under its thumb to choke England's trade and dominate the English Channel. Why the Channel? It was the highway of medieval commerce and a launch pad for invasions. By 1340, France had a bold plan. Assemble a massive fleet at Sluys, a key port in the Zwin estuary, to control the Channel and pave the way for an invasion of England. With allies like Castile and Genoa, France's naval power seemed unstoppable. But Edward III wasn't about to let that happen. This is a cog, the backbone of medieval navies. These broad, sturdy ships were built for trade, carrying wool and wine. But in war, they became floating fortresses. With high sides and wooden platforms for archers, cogs were perfect for the brutal tactics of the time. England's betting big on them, and Edward's about to lead them into battle himself. Spring 1340. Edward III defies his advisors, who beg him not to risk his life at sea. He's determined to lead this fight himself. From the port of Orwell, he gathers a fleet of 120 to 150 ships, mostly cogs, drawn from merchant fleets in London, Yarmouth, and other coastal towns. These aren't sleek warships, but workhorses, adapted for battle with temporary wooden castles, platforms fore and aft for archers and men-at-arms. The English secret weapon? Longbowmen. These archers could fire up to 12 arrows a minute, outpacing any crossbow. Edward's fleet, advised by seasoned mariners like Robert Morley, is lean but cohesive, ready to exploit every advantage, wind, tide, and sun. Across the Channel, France has amassed a larger fleet, around 200 ships, anchored in the narrow Zwin estuary. It's a mixed force, cogs like the English, but also smaller barges, fishing boats, and a handful of elite Genoese galleys, led by Egidio Boccanegra, a skilled mercenary admiral. The French commanders, Hugh Quiéret and Nicolas Béuchet, are confident. They chain their ships together in 3 tight lines, forming a floating barricade to block the English. It's a bold strategy, but it's about to cost them dearly. Let's break down the ships. Cogs, used by both sides, were broad, with clinker-built hulls, overlapping planks for strength. They carried 20 to 100 crew, including sailors, archers, and soldiers. The French galleys, powered by oars and sails, were faster and more maneuverable, but low to the water, making them vulnerable to boarding. The French also had captured English ships, like the Christopher and Edward, adding insult to injury. But chaining their fleet together, that's a gamble that limits their mobility. It's late afternoon, June 24th, 1340. The English fleet glides into the Zwin estuary, the sun at their backs blinding the French. Edward III, standing on his flagship's deck, positions his strongest cogs, packed with longbowmen, in the front, with lighter vessels in reserve. The French, chained in their defensive lines, are a sitting target. Edward seizes the moment, using the wind and tide to close the gap. The battle explodes with a hail of arrows. English longbowmen, firing from the high castles of their cogs, rain death on the French decks. A single archer could loose 10 to 12 arrows a minute, compared to a crossbow's 2 to 3. The French crossbowmen, mostly Genoese, fire back, but they're overwhelmed. The chained French ships can't maneuver, turning the estuary into a killing zone. With the French in disarray, English cogs ram their lines, grappling hooks pulling ships together. English soldiers storm aboard, clashing with French knights and sailors. The French flagship Thomas, a massive cog, is boarded early. Admiral Hugues Quiéret fights to the death, cut down in the melee. Nicolas Béhuchet is captured, later hanged by the English as a traitor for past raids. The Genoese galleys, under Boccanegra, try to escape the slaughter, but most are hunted down. By nightfall, the estuary is a wreck-strewn battlefield. French ships burn, sink, or are captured. Chronicles claim 190 of 213 French ships are lost, with 16,000 to 18,000 dead. Sailors, soldiers, and even civilians pressed into service. Bodies wash ashore for days. The English? They lose only a handful of ships, their casualties minimal. The Battle of Sluys is a knockout blow. England seizes control of the English Channel, shattering France's invasion plans and securing vital trade routes to Flanders. Edward III returns to England a hero, his bold leadership cementing his reputation as a warrior king. For France, it's a catastrophe. Philip VI's navy is all but destroyed, forcing him to rely on allies like Castile for future naval efforts. Sluys isn't just a naval victory, it's a strategic turning point. It frees England to launch land campaigns, like the Battle of Crécy in 1346, where longbowmen again prove their worth. France's loss at Sluys weakens its grip on Flanders, tilting the war's early momentum toward England. Today, Sluys is a quiet town, its estuary silted over by centuries. But in 1340, it was the stage for a battle that reshaped naval warfare. The victory marked England as a rising sea power, laying the groundwork for its dominance in later centuries, from the Spanish Armada to Trafalgar. Sluys showed the deadly power of longbowmen, not just on land, but at sea, and exposed the flaws of static defenses like chained fleets. The Battle of Sluys was more than a clash of ships, it was a clash of ambition, strategy, and sheer courage. Edward III's gamble paid off, proving that brains and boldness could topple a larger foe. What do you think? How did Sluys shape the 100 Years' War? Could France have recovered faster? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining us on this journey back to 1340. If you loved this deep dive into the Battle of Sluys, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep exploring history together.